It almost feels like yesterday where we saw that crazy and honestly quite controversial finish to the 2024 Christmas Eve Showdown where Jack Haas and Darian Ornsdorf came to the line pretty much dead even, and Jack Haas was awarded the victory, and here we are once again 1 year later here to keep this tradition going. The holiday season's always been focused around tradition, and back in 2023 we started a brand new tradition here on the channel here at the M&M Superspeedway here in Boston, Massachusetts. But we are here for the third annual running here of this tradition, and like the previous two installments, I think we're in for another spectacular event here this Christmas Eve afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the M&M Superspeedway here in Boston, Massachusetts for the third annual running of the Christmas Eve Showdown. What's going on, everybody? Caleb here, and welcome back once again to the Christmas Eve Showdown. We are live once again here from the M&M Superspeedway here in Boston, Massachusetts. And like I was talking about, it almost feels like yesterday we were wrapping up the 2024 season with what was, I think, a quite interesting race here at the M&M Superspeedway. Like I said, all that stuff with Jack Haas and Darian Ornsdorf, it looked like Ornsdorf might have been ahead. The game did award Jack Haas with the victory, and he does still go down as the winner of the 2024 Christmas Eve Showdown, but both Haas and Ornsdorf, along with many others, are here in this year's running of this great race as well. Haas looking to try and run it back, Ornsdorf looking to try and turn the tides, and many other drivers in this field as well looking for their first victory here in this great event. And it's just definitely going to be a very, very fun race, and it's going to be very interesting to see who does end up going to victory lane here throughout this field. We got a lot of veterans here of this event. We have some newbies in the field as well, and it's going to be very, very fun to see who does end up going to victory lane after everything is said and done, and who ends up getting one of their Christmas presents early. We'll have to wait and see how it all goes down here after this 50-lap race around the high banks here at the M&M Superspeedway, but I'm certain it will be a very, very fun event, and it'll be exciting to see how it all does play out. But join me alongside here on the call for this race, watching alongside with me to see how everything plays out. We have Matt Tuck and we have Stuart Gratton up here alongside. Thank you all both so much for joining me here for this great race course. Matt, you've been alongside me quite a lot so far throughout the second half of this year, especially with the Turkey Hill Truck Series, and I'm sure you are quite familiar with this race and how it does play out. So what are your expectations here for this event here today? How do you think it is going to play out, and what are you looking out for in this race as it does end up playing along?
You know, the funny thing you say, you know, I'm experienced in this event. I actually don't believe to my knowledge that I've actually made a start in this race. And I don't think I've ever called this race before. So I think we could actually say this is the first time in quite a long moment that I'm walking straight into a race, into a great unknown. But, you know, the last time we saw, you know, every time we see these cars on track, you know, this era of race car right here, we think back to that one day in Talladega in October 2012, and we always ask ourselves, can they recreate what would have happened had Michael Waltrip not thrown that block? And I think we're going to find out today. It's going to be a great race. Pensacola produces some amazing racing. Obviously, it produced quite a moment in the channel last year that I don't think we'll ever forget. And it is going to be a very fun one here on Christmas Eve.
Absolutely. This track has produced some unforgettable moments in the past couple of years, and like we were talking about that 2012 Talladega race, they're in the later stages of the race, the whole field going 4 deep, and that's probably what we're going to see a lot of here today. Of course, the track is wider, so it can accommodate these guys going 3, even 4 wide. 5 wide at this racetrack is probably what you want to watch out for. It's kind of like 4 wide at the traditional super speedway, where it can work, but just one wrong move, and you're going to take yourself out, along with probably most of the field. So that's definitely going to be something interesting to watch out for. And Stuart, you were in the booth for this race last last season, and just what a memorable race that was. Of course, had that crazy finish between Jack Oz and Darian Ornsdorf, along with everything else in between that just made that race so much fun. But what are your expectations here coming into it this time around, and what are you looking out for here in the third annual running of this great race?
Well, I am. Well, there's a high bar to clear this year, given the events of last year, and certainly the finish of that race. I still can't believe that happened. I still have never seen anything like it in this game, where someone is classified as the leader, coming to the line, and then they have to give that position back. And yeah, there was a bit of controversy with that. I am glad that we got Darian a hardship waiver for this event. I think he deserves it given what happened last year. But look, no, it's going to be a very entertaining race. You're going to see a lot of changes. Might be times where we'll see if anyone can try and pull out ahead and try and block the lanes. I don't expect that, to be honest. As you mentioned, there's a lot of 4 wide, which you can get away with, but the 5 wide can be disastrous. We can see a lot of cars torn up, and it's 50 laps. There's no pit stop, so it's just a sprint. And you hope that these guys, it is for fun, and obviously, yes, there is a reward. Obviously, you want to be the winner of this race. You hope that everybody pushes to the absolute limits, and it's a fun and entertaining race. You see a lot of changes, and anyone can win from anywhere at a track like this. So I think we're going to see a very, very entertaining race today.
Absolutely, yeah. All these guys are going to be pushing to the limit to try and get this race win. Like you're talking about, the race winner could pretty much come from about anywhere in this field. We could see some of the guys starting towards the back of the field get up to the race lead by probably just about lap 5 or so. So these guys will probably be shuffling all throughout this field here today, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this race does play out and who we do end up seeing fighting for the race lead after all is said and done. But it's going to be a very fun one here for this 50-lap race, and while, like you mentioned, last year's race might definitely set a pretty high bar, it's definitely going to still be interesting to see how this race does play out, and regardless of how it does, it's going to be a lot of fun here on this Christmas Eve afternoon. But really quickly, before we do get these guys rolling off and get things underway, we'll take a quick look here through your starting lineup for the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown. And there is your starting lineup here for the main event. The 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown, of course, John Andrews and Brian Webb starting on the front row. They were the winner of their respective duel races last night, and if the duel races are any indicator for how this race might play out, this is definitely going to be quite the interesting one. Of course, these guys might calm down a little bit compared to the duels last night, where it was just 10-lap sprint races. So still, it's going to be very interesting to see how this race does end up shaking out and how it does compare to the duel races last night. But regardless of the fact, it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's just going to be very interesting to see how these 50 laps end up going down and who ends up getting the race victory here in the third annual running of the Christmas Eve Showdown. But before we do get these guys rolling off and get these engines fired, we are missing a couple of guys here from the racetrack. Taking a look at my notes of who else in their cars. It looks like Jack Oz and Darian Arnsdorf aren't quite yet in their cars. In fact, I don't even know if I've seen them at the racetrack so far here today. Don't know where they could possibly be, but hopefully they are at the very least on their way. And we will have to see if we can indeed locate them wherever they might just be. And focusing in here on the outskirts of the racetrack, I do believe we have focused in here on the 34 of Jack Oz and the 36 of Darian Arnsdorf currently en route, and I believe racing their way to the racetrack. Looking, I guess, potentially settle the score for the 2024 Christmas Eve Showdown. Not exactly what would be on the line. I wouldn't think that Jack Oz would want to give up that trophy, but hey, we'll have to see what is in it potentially for these two, and what will happen if Darian Arnsdorf does walk away with this one. But it is shaping up to be quite the interesting battle here as Arnsdorf pulls to the left-hand side here as we head down this long, windy straightaway, heading towards a hill and a tight left-hander. If Arnsdorf can stay on the left-hand side, he might have the advantage. Heading down the hill here into this left-hander. Arnsdorf on the inside. Gonna squeeze Jack Haas on the outside. And Arnsdorf looking to clear, but not quite gonna get it just yet as Jack Haas stays on the quarter panel. So heading here down another long straightaway into yet another left-hander. Arnsdorf trying to get the advantage. Jack Haas not giving it up that easy, though, as they stay side by side. Jack Haas gonna dive it down the inside here as we head into a bit of a set of S's here, as Haas gonna run it just a little bit wide in that 34. It is a heavily wooded area, so it is kind of difficult to keep track of these two, but these two are still giving us a great show, and they're still side by side. Haas trying to pull ahead in that 34. Arnsdorf not letting him get away either, but Haas will clear for the time being, and Arnsdorf goes a bit wide. He's into the snow in the 36, and he has to gather it back up, and he'll lose quite a bit of time because of that, but Jack Haas also dips his rear tires into the snow, so didn't quite get a run off of there, and he's still trying to get that snow off. He loses control again, almost runs wide, and here comes the 36 of Arnsdorf. Around the outside he goes through this long left-hander, and he's got the race lead once again. Jack Haas trying to get that momentum built back up, trying to get those tires cleaned off. But Darian has a solid lead here built up as we head into the final couple of corners here of this racetrack. The track is getting close, so this is it right here. Arnsdorf still with a solid lead built up, but there is quite a long straightaway up here where Haas could potentially get a draft off of the back bumper of this 36. I have to see if he can maybe catch up and go for one last move before we do get to the racetrack. But this has been a spectacular showing here from these two, and Arnsdorf is pulling off a great performance. Looking to try and outlast that 34 of Jack Haas, but he is getting a bit of a pull off that 36 of Darian Arnsdorf, and he's definitely going to get one here as we head into this long straightaway, and they go uphill. Jack Haas continuing to close in on that 34. If he can continue to do so, he might have one last shot here as we head into the last couple of corners. He's peeking to the inside. Arnsdorf and the 36 is going to shut the door on him. But Haas is there. He's all over the back bumper of this 36 of Darian Arnsdorf. Here he goes once again. He pulls to the inside, looking to try and make a move, but he hits a patch of ice and he has to check up. Almost fishtails it, loses the back end. He hangs onto it, but Arnsdorf holds on to the race lead, and through the final corner they go. Darian Arnsdorf is going to pull off the upset, and he is going to finish ahead of Jack Haas. We actually got a flag ban in this. How about that? But Darian Arnsdorf wins the duel as they finally pull back into the racetrack and get ready to start their 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown. How about that for the 36 of Darian Arnsdorf? And I am hearing that for winning the duel, Arnsdorf will be getting a reserve for future Christmas Eve Showdown events. So, hey, how about that for Darian Arnsdorf? But those two will be heading to the track and hopping in their cars, so we'll get you back trackside, we'll get you your starting lineup, we'll fire engines, and we'll get these guys rolling off and get this event underway here for the 3rd annual Christmas Eve Showdown. Well, certainly quite the way to start out festivities here from the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown. Definitely have to give a huge congratulations to Darian Arnsdorf. We've had plenty of duels so far here throughout this week, but Arnsdorf getting it done in the duel with Jack Haas, and like before mentioned, will earn a reserve for future runnings of the Christmas Eve Showdown. So, hey, good stuff there for him. Looking for redemption for what happened to him a year ago after quite the interesting call from the game to give the victory to Jack Haas, but have to see if Arnsdorf can nab redemption here in the 3rd annual running of the Christmas Eve Showdown. Will it be Arnsdorf, will it be Haas, or will it be somebody else coming to take victory here in the 3rd annual running of this great race? We'll just have to wait and see how it does all end up shaking out after 50 laps here around the M&M Superspeedway. But with all that being said and everything situated, I think it's just about time we get these engines fired and get these guys to roll off here from the M&M Superspeedway. But really quickly, before they do, let's take a quick look here at your starting lineup for the 3rd annual running of the Christmas Eve Showdown. Starting on the front row here for the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown, we have your pole sitter and Duel 1 winner Brian Webb. Starting alongside Duel number 2 winner, the 13, of John Andrews. Row number 2, we find your runner-ups from both duels. We have the number 40 of Matt Black, starting alongside the number 5 of Nathan Meyer. Row 3, we have the number 29 of Bryce Egan, starting alongside the 39 of Hallie Anderson Jr. And then in row 4, we have the number 22 of Alexander Rowe, starting alongside the number 27 of Ryan Durrani. Row number 5, we have the 36 of Darian Arnsdorf, looking to turn the tides after that heartbreaking loss last year, starting alongside the number 14 of Avery Alford. Row number 6, we find the number 20 of Bucky Campbell, starting alongside the number 49 of Travis Crampton. And in row 7, we have the number 44 of Aaron Lukes and the number 1 of Eric Monaco. Row number 8, we find the number 26 of Isaac Nichols, starting alongside the number 2, your Thanksgiving 500 champion, Chase McClure. And in row number 9, we find your Lenovo Pro Series champion, Emily York Watson, starting alongside the number 38 of Trey Wright. Row number 10, we find your 2023 Christmas Eve Showdown champion, Justin Zidell, starting alongside your Indy 250 champion from this year, Brennan Wilmington. Row number 11, we have the 16, Dylan Matthews, looking to get one done here for the Biff, starting alongside the number 83 of David Dixon. In row number 12, we have the number 12 of Henry Jack Brown, starting alongside your reigning champion of the Christmas Eve Showdown, Jack Hawes. Row 13, we have the number 30 of Marcus De Jesus, starting alongside the number 9 of Aaron Abel. And in row 14, we have the 55 of Kasumi Takashi, starting alongside the number 11 of Thomas Troxel. Row 15, we see the 7 of Max Davis, starting alongside the number 24 of Tanner Parton. Behind them in row 16, we find Skep Silver in the number 19, starting alongside the number 42, the Big Staple, Nathan Stapleton. Row 17, we have the number 15 of Sarah Taylor, starting alongside the 98 of Owen Miles. Following them in row number 18, we have your 10th anniversary race winner Igor Barreto in the number 99, starting alongside the number 50 of Joey Hightower. Row number 19, we have the number 48 of Anthony Hernandez, starting alongside the 6 of Bernardo de Oliveira. And in row 20, we find your Wawa Cup Series champion Duncan Ward, starting alongside the 18 of Tyler Jericho, who had quite the wild ride in his dual race. And rounding out the field here in row number 21, we have the 33 of BB Ruiz, starting alongside Mr. Edge himself, Nicholas Samudio, in the number 88. Matt and Stewart, I gotta ask you both, who is your all's picks to go to victory lane here in the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown?
Well, I could do something funny. I won't do that funny, but give me a guy who's starting quite deep in the field, and he knows a thing or two about winning, and that paint scheme he's in knows a thing or two about winning, and give me the 17 of Duncan Ward. He's gonna do it and put that pink 17 car, because that's the only place the pink 17 belongs, is victory lane, and he's gonna win the Christmas Eve Showdown.
I just knew you were going. I knew you were going to pick that one. We're going to have. We're going to reminisce on Talladega 2012. I think with the 17. Yeah, as I said, anyone can win from any position. A lot of rotating up and down the racetrack. So it's like you're pulling a rabbit out of the hat. I'm going to go with my guy, Isaac Nichols. Starts 15th. I like that. He's in the 26. It's on the inside. I like where he's at the moment, so I'm going to take the 26 to go to 2-8.
Duncan Ward, Isaac Nichols, both of these guys' first time here in this event, and definitely showed some muscle there in their dual races. Have to see how they both do. Of course, Duncan Ward, your reigning Wawa Cup Series champion, driving the same car that Matt Kenseth piloted to victory lane in that wild Talladega 2012 finish. Have to see how he does here in this race, but it is going to be a lot of fun. Got 50 laps of racing ahead of us, and it's going to be an awesome race, and it's going to be very exciting to see how this does end up shaking out. But Brian Webb and John Andrews are going to lead the field down the front straightaway into the green flag. Here we go. The 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown is green, here from the M&M Superspeedway here in Boston, Massachusetts. Fanning out down the back straightaway. We've already got 5 wide here for the second position on the racetrack. Here as they head through turns 3 and 4, we'll see if they can fan it back down as we exit turn 4. It looks like they will. And the field keeps it together here as they come to complete lap number 1. But it's Brian Webb in the 43 who's going to lead the field back to the line to lead the opening lap. But here comes the 20 of Bucky Campbell. Peeking to the inside, he's got a push from the 52 of Emily York Watson. Alexander Rowe in the 22, they're going to go to the middle lane, but Bucky Campbell in the 20 is going to take the lead here on lap number 2 here as we head through turns 1 and 2. 52 Emily York Watson peeking to the inside, but here comes your 2023 champion of this race, Justin Zidell. Once again, returning to that tag, we're 51, and he's already looking to try and make his way up to the front, trying to show some muscle early, followed by Bryce Egan and Marcus De Jesus there in that 30 car. But Zidell to the bottom here as we head off of turn number 4. They're touching, they're crashing in the back!
Oh no!
Chase McClure gets turned to the inside wall, and he's into the pit wall! Flipping wildly as that too. You've also got Anthony Hernandez around in the 48. And I would imagine it does look like that's going to bring the caution flag out here on just lap number 2 of the event.
Oh, that was a serious...
Oh, and Jericho!
Oh, there's Jericho.
Jericho and Samadeo get together under caution.
Oh.
They spin back onto the racing surface. And nobody else involved, but that's pretty significant damage to the 18 of Tyler Jericho. Samadeo in the 88 also with a little bit as well. We saw that in the dual races with Jack Hawes and Tanner Parton getting together. Not really a usual sight that I've seen a lot, but seems to be a reoccurring theme here this time around. Fortunate break there for Samadeo and Jericho, as that's probably going to put the both of them behind the 8 ball with the damage sustained in that accident.
Yeah, that was... not sure what happened there. They're just getting a little too close to each other there on the cooldown. It's a bit unnecessary, and those 2 guys are pretty experienced, so... yeah, fascinating that. But that was a terrible hit from McClure.
That was...
right on the end of the wall. That was a shocking hit. One of the worst hits that we've seen all year. Any race in any series. So, good thing it is just NR2003. But yeah, that was a terrible incident.
Luckily, of course, it is a video game and everything, so Chase McClure is fine. But still, that was quite the violent hit there for that number 2 Miller Lite Dodge as he slams into the pit lane attenuator after getting spun off of turn number 4. Took the 48 of Anthony Hernandez with him. That's quite a chaotic start here to the 3rd annual running of the Christmas Eve Showdown. Caution flag comes out here on just lap number 2. Coming to lap number 3 of the race, but it's the 51 of Justin Zidell who led the field back to the caution flag. Let's take a quick look at what brought out our first caution of the day, and we'll get you all back to the racing action here in the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown. Well, here we go, coming off of turn number 4. Anthony Hernandez gonna slide up a little bit into tray right, and catches the quarter panel of the 2 of Chase McClure, spins him down to the inside, and McClure gonna take a hard shot here to the inside wall, comes back up and spins the 48 around. And then the 2 car just going to spin around here, and here he goes, spins right into the pit wall, hits it square on the passenger side door, and ends up going pirouetting through the air in that 2 machine. Absolutely got knocked back there from that impact. A really pretty vicious accident here from the M&M Superspeedway, but of course, like I mentioned, it is just a video game, so Chase McClure is fine, but man, what a crazy accident here to start out what is sure to probably be an interesting running of the Christmas Eve Showdown from what that has shown us. But we'll just have to wait and see how the rest of this race does play out. But unfortunately, an early exit there for the 2 of Chase McClure. But let's go back and take a quick look here at full speed, and then we'll get you all back to the racing action here from the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown.
Well, it starts here through turn 4, and you see the 48 slides up, but this is that's a massive hit for McClure, but not even the biggest hit, of course, in this accident. They're right on the right side, and right side door and immediately towed back. Didn't even stop. Didn't even come to a complete stop by the time it was towed back. So fair to say McClure out of this race, and damage on the 48 as well. And so that's a tough break, especially for McClure, given he's out of the race. The 48 will continue. And then that afterwards, with Jericho and the 88 there of Sam Adio. Very unusual. Just probably slid up there perhaps into each other. A very interesting one.
Definitely quite the interesting turn of events here for our first caution of the race here from the M&M Superspeedway here for the 3rd annual Christmas Eve Showdown. But 51 of Justin Zeidel led the field back to the caution flag. And we'll have to see how the rest of this race ends up playing out. And we'll have to see how that 51 ends up doing on the restart here for the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown. Welcome back here to the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown. Wrapping up an early first caution here to the race where Chase McClure had quite the wild accident, getting turned off at turn 4 and slamming into the pit road wall. Fortunately, that is going to take him out of the race in quite spectacular fashion. 18 of Tyler Jericho got spun under the caution flag, and unfortunately the damage to that 18 was just too great. He is unfortunately out of the race as well. So 2 cars out of the race following that first accident. 40 cars still left on the racetrack. All 40 are on the lead lap. Of course, not Brian Webb, Anthony Hernandez in the 48 with some rear-end damage after that accident. Same with the 88 of Sam Adio, who got into it with Jericho under that caution flag. So we'll have to see if these two can maintain pace. But out towards the front of the field, of course, Justin Zeidel led the field back to the caution flag. He'll lead the field back to the green flag here on lap number 7. We got Bucky Campbell in the 20 in second. Bryce Egan is third. Marcus DeJesus is in fourth, followed by Max Davis, Emily York Watson, Alexander Rose, Skep Silver, Nathan Meyer, and Sarah Taylor rounds out your top 10 as we are back green flag racing here once again here in the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown. Campbell already thinking about taking a peek. DeJesus is going to make a peek here underneath the 29 of Bryce Egan. Now Campbell goes to the inside here through turns 1 and 2. A little loose there through the center of the corner for Jesus. And here comes the 7 of Max Davis to the inside with a push from the 52 of Emily York Watson. They're already fanning out quite a bit here as we head down the back straightaway. Davis in the middle with help from a Dodge teammate of Alexander Rose. Zeidel gets a push down the back straightaway from DeJesus and will hold on to the race lead here for the time being. But Bucky Campbell now has help from the 7 of Davis. He's going to take the fight back to the 52 of Zeidel here off of turn number 4. But now Davis takes a move to the inside, looking to try and make it 3 wide for the lead. Zeidel holds on to it, though, here down the front straightaway. He has enough momentum to stay clear of the 20 and the 7. And he's going to block the both of them here as we head through turn number 1. Davis still there down low. Here comes Nathan Meyer, Henry Jack Brown, and Dylan Matthews there in the 16. Lined up on the inside is Davis with a run. Takes a peek to the inside as Zeidel as we head down the backstretch here on lap number 8.
And Davis's car looks really hooked up early. He's got Henry Jack Brown behind him. They've got Dylan Matthews, who's definitely would be a special moment if Dylan Matthews could put that 16 to victory lane here today after what happened last week. But here comes Max Davis to the lead. This car has looked very fast. He's been dicing through traffic, but here comes the 12 of Henry Jack Brown. And is Justin Zeidel going to be able to get a big enough run off the top to throw a block? He's not, but Davis can hold the bottom for now. They keep sliding all over this track, and it's a very racy track here early on in the go with so much room for overtaking.
Quite the slippery, but quite the racy racetrack, I guess you could say, is the M&M Superspeedway. Definitely seeing it early on as these guys are absolutely going crazy here throughout this field. Henry Jack Brown, the 12 to the underneath the 40 of Matt Black. Matt Black was really quick in his respective dual race, finished second, and looking to try and carry that momentum here into the main race. Max Davis holds on to the race lead. Here coming to complete lap number 9 with a Dodge teammate of Henry Jack Brown behind him. Here's the 52, Emily York Watson, staying up here towards the front. We got a couple cars trying to make their way up here, including the 39, Hallie Anderson Jr., the 55 of Kasumi Takashi. Here comes Igor Barreto, Thomas Troxel, Avery Alford there all lined up on the inside, getting a bit tight here in the middle of the pack here throughout these corners. They keep it together still for now, and fanning it down just a little bit. And fortunately, Anthony Hernandez and Nicholas Samadillo have lost the pace in those Hendrick cars, so tough break there for them. Have to see if they can catch a caution here later on and catch back up to this field, or else they could potentially come lap traffic that these guys will have to deal with later on. But Max Davis, I'll tell you what, that 7 car must be hooked up, because leads his second, or maybe even third consecutive lap here in the Christmas Eve Showdown. That 7 car is fast, driving the same car that took Anthony Hernandez to a dual win last year, and he's definitely got some speed there under the hood of that 7 Dodge.
Sponsored by Speed Energy, so perhaps that's assisting him in that regard. But
Hey,
tell you what, they are getting tight, and they are getting tight and pretty close to each other in this pack, and especially a couple laps ago through turn 4, they were getting very, very close throughout the field. So you got to keep an eye on that. And that was close there. You saw the 6 of De Oliveira was squeezing up on Crampton a little bit, so that could have been disastrous, but they all kept it straight for the time being. But the thing about the 7 is you see the field is fanning out, they're all trying to find the lane they want to be in. That's close there, 29. They're going to be very, very careful. Bryce Egan almost squeezing the 55 and the 12 up into the outside wall, but as Matthews goes to the lead, it's going to be close again. Be careful, be careful. I'm so scared about what could happen here. You got the 55 who once again is right in the middle of it here, Takashi, and they've got to be so careful. Otherwise, they're going to create a big accident. Oh, don't do it in a 3.
Don't do it! Don't do
At
it!
each other. Field really fanning out here through 3 and 4. Have to see if they can still keep it together, and they won't!
Oh, there they go.
Sarah Taylor goes around. Aaron Lukes is around. Troxell's involved. There goes Bucky Campbell. Avery Alford. Wilmington slams into the 44. Trey Wright is in it. Travis Crampton, Nathan Meyer, Hallie Anderson Jr. Webb slides into the 56 there at the last second. And caution is back out here once again here at the M&M Superspeedway.
Oh my.
Yeah, that one felt like a matter of time. They were getting very, very cozy with one another, and a little too cozy. And they all bin it through 3 and 4, out of turn 4. So that's a real shame for all those guys involved there, out of this race.
Definitely a tough break for everybody there involved in that accident, but yeah, with how they were racing there those past couple laps, looked like it was just building and building up, and eventually gonna boil over there, and a couple cars crashing here down the front straightaway, and probably gonna knock a couple cars out of this race. Brian Webb in the 48 with some more damage. Hallie Anderson Jr. front end destroyed of that 39 machine. Avery Alford has some significant damage to the 14. Trey Wright was involved in that accident, but that 38 looks alright. Have to see if he does end up coming down pit road to repair that thing. Aaron Lukes in the 44, one of those first cars that we saw go around. And 15 of Sarah Taylor was another car that we saw go around quite early on in that accident. And Brendan Wilmington, the 56, I think he got that thing rolling, got teleported back to the pit lane, so I have to see if they can repair it or if that's going to be curtains for Brendan Wilmington's 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown run. But a tough break there for everybody involved. But it's going to be the 16, Dylan Matthews. She leads the field back to the caution flag, and like we were talking about earlier, what a win this could be for Dylan Matthews piloting that 16 machine that Greg Biffle drove back in 2012, considering what did end up going down just last week. Definitely have to keep Greg Biffle and family in thoughts, but of course this number will be retired following this race here in this event, so Matthews looking for a big win in that number 16 machine. But she led the field back to the caution flag here for this second caution of the race. Let's take a quick look at what brought us under our second caution of the race, and we'll get you all back to the racing action once again here in the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown. Well, we know here at this racetrack that 5 wide could go wrong very easily, but this time it's 4 wide gone wrong as Sarah Taylor, the 15, just slides up a bit too much off corner exit and gets spun off the front bumper of the 11 of Thomas Troxell, and it's absolutely on from there as Troxell slides down into Aaron Lukes. Sarah Taylor goes back up the track into the 14 of Avery Alford, and there's nowhere for a lot of these guys to go. Has got a smoke screen pretty much here off of turn number 4. There's 20 of Bucky Campo getting a piece of it. Travis Crampton nowhere to go. Nathan Meyer in there as well. Hallie Anderson Jr., Trey Wright in the 38. And Brandon Wilmington tried to miss it, but the 44 just slid down right into his path, and Wilmington gives the 44 Luke's a hard shot. And it's not over just yet, as here comes the 48 of Brian Webb, trying to miss the exit, trying to get it woed up, just can't get it woed up in time, and gets the 56 of Brandon Wilmington right there at the end. Also giving the 39 Hallie Anderson Jr. a bit more front-end damage there in that 39, so a bit of insult to injury there, but pretty big accident here on the front straightaway, and unfortunate break there for everybody involved.
Just going to be a little too close here. Sarah Taylor and the 11 of Troxel, they slide up, and up into the field they go. And collects the 14, 38, 5, 39. A lot of these guys involved. You see Wilmington right there, just drives straight into Luke's. And then right at the end here, you're going to see Hernandez, the 48. Just can't get it slowed up in time on the grass, and runs into the 56, and the 39 also getting the worst end of that as well. So tough break for all those guys involved.
Definitely quite the tough break there for everybody involved, but super speedway racing, that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, and definitely saw quite a bit of aggressive racing leading up to that point. But, we'll have to see how that ends up playing into the rest of the race, but 16 of Dylan Matthews led the field back to the caution flag this time around. Have to see what she and that 16 machine can do here on the restart. Second restart of the day here in the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown. Welcome back once again into the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown, wrapping up our second caution of the race for a multi-car accident off of turn number 4, which is unfortunately going to take Wilmington, Hernandez, and Anderson Jr. out of this race, and a couple more cars are going to have damage after that incident. I have to see if all these guys can keep pace. But, 88 of Sam Adillo and the 48 of Anthony Hernandez didn't show much promise there after that first caution. But we'll have to see how it does end up shaking out here after the green flag comes back out once again. And like before mentioned, you got the 16 of Dylan Matthews leading this field back to green. You got the big staple in the second position. Max Davis in third. Aaron Abel there in fourth. John Andrews rounds out your top 5. Baby Ruiz is in 6th. Bryce Egan is 7th. Eric Monaco is 8th. Ryan Durrani 9th. And Marcus De Jesus gonna round out your top 10 here as we come back to the green flag here on lap number 17 here at the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown. Dylan Matthews going to lead the field back green flag racing. And here we go. Green flag is back out. We're racing once again here in the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown.
See if we can get into a rhythm. Obviously, we're down some cars, which sometimes can actually be a benefactor to this style of racing, especially on a big, wild racetrack like this. But here we go, all ready for the lead. The 42 of Nathan Stapleton, getting a help from Max Davis, getting help from John Andrews, a bunch of veterans looking to jump Dylan Matthews. And we're already back to 2 and 3 wide racing here in the Christmas Eve show. Oh no.
Going 4 wide, should be alright, but Stapleton tried to throw a block, I think, there on the 9 of Aaron Abel, but just wasn't quite clear and had to make a last-second maneuver to avoid cutting off the 9 of Aaron Abel, but luckily they both keep it straight. They both keep their momentum up. But Max Davis in the 7 is back out front. We saw what that 7 machine is capable of there after that first caution came out, and we know he's got a fast car, but Bryce Egan, the 29, has a push on the inside, and look who's right behind him. Jack Gause on the 34, getting a push from the 36 at Darian Arnsdorf, who's now going to look to try and take 3 wide, falls back in behind the 34 of Haas, and Arnsdorf looking to push the 34 of Jack Hodger, reigning champion of this race, to the lead.
How ironic is it that the 34 and 36 end up right behind each other on the racetrack? That is amazing. But nice run there for the 34. He gets to the lead of the race. Jack Haas obviously knows how to win this race.
Does he?
Out in front, but well, yeah. But he does a little bit of help last year. but he's got another former race winner right there as well. He got the 51 right up there of Zidell working his way forward. He's going to close the door there on Skep Silver there in the 19, although the 19 is going to get back to the inside of the 51. And there's your pick, Matt. Duncan Ward in the 17 has avoided the carnage so far, and we'll see what he can do later on this race. Maybe get through another big accident, 2012 Talladega style again. But here he goes 3 wide now, trying to get to the second position. But Zidell's going to close. And the 2 winners from the last 2 years are 1 and 2 at the moment.
How about this? Your 2 winners of this race going at it up here for the race lead as Zidell goes side by side with Haas. Going to put a block on him here as we head down the front stretch. And here comes that 17 of Duncan Ward, your Wawa Cup Series champion, looking to make headlines here in the Christmas Eve Showdown. But here comes the 83 Dixon with an aggressive move to the inside. Ward tried to block it, but slid up a little bit there through 1 and 2. Dixon gets back to the inside. They're side by side for second, as well as side by side for the lead as Haas tries to take the fight back to the 51 as Zidell. We have a fantastic battle up here at the front of the field for the race lead between 2 champions here of the Christmas Eve Showdown.
Yeah, I mean, and Darren Ornsdorf, if you really think about it, he's put it in a historic performance here. We have never seen a driver convert a hardship waiver to a victory here before, as he's looking to be the first to do that. The first ever man to be granted a hardship waiver, which is just, I had a loss for words, but plate master David Dixon once again showing that he knows how to get around these types of racetracks here. And the 52 of York Watson looking really strong here in the midway portion of this race. And Alexander Rowe, he's got some history on the line here. I don't remember how many, I don't remember the exact number. But if he wins here tonight, he is going to set the channel record for the most wins in a calendar year. And when you think about how long this channel has been around, and you think about how many races we have ran as we're 4x4 wide again, oh my god, never mind that, here we go again 4 wide.
Henry Jack Brown there in the 12 with an aggressive move down low, takes the second position back away. Henry Jack Brown's been up here quite a bit so far tonight as well, pushing the 7, mostly of Max Davis, but now looking to try and show some muscle there in that 12 machine. Here comes Marcus De Jesus, rookie to this event, looking to try and make some headway. Pushed from the 1 of Eric Monaco, maybe a bit too big of a push. That 30 gets pushed a bit wide there, but holds on to the 3rd position here for the time being. Here comes your pole sitter, the 43, Brian Webb, looking to try and get back up here towards the front. Owen Miles there in the 93, trying to make a move through the middle. Stapleton there with a push from the 24 of Tanner Parton, trying to make their way towards the front. Emily York Watson, though, in the 52, holding on to the race lead here for the time being. But here comes the 30 of Marcus De Jesus. Couple rookies in this race looking to battle their way around. Off of turn number 4 goes Aaron Abel.
Oh, no!
Oh, that was that. I thought for all money that John Andrews or Aaron Abel were going to hit the end of the attenuator there. That's a lot of damage on car number 9, and that might be it. He's going to head back out there, but a lot of damage on that car. Certainly out of contention, at least for the win. It was off the track, so no yellow, and he didn't go flipping 20 times like Chase McClure did early in the race, so no yellow apparently. But they're racing still very hard at the front. I was going to say, even with this reduced pack, these guys are still leaning on each other quite a bit, and still going 4 wide. So something to keep in mind as the race goes along.
Yeah, tough break there for the 9 of Aaron Abel. Did get it gathered back up there on the inside of the racetrack, so no caution, but that is certainly going to take him out of the running for this race win. So a tough break there for that number 9 machine. But as I mentioned, we are still green flag racing, and Marcus De Jesus leads the field in that 30. Here comes the 29 of Bryce Egan, looking to try and take a peek to the inside. Has a little bit of a cushion back to the 24 of Tanner Parton. You also got Justin Zidell looking to make his way back up here. So is the 7 of Max Davis. We have seen Davis up here towards the front quite a bit this race. He's definitely going to be a guy to watch out for as this race does go along. We're closing in here on halfway home as we got 4 wide for the race lead as we head through turns 3 and 4. A big move out of Justin Zidell is going to move him back up to the race lead as we come to complete lap number 24. And yeah, although we have whittled some cars out of this pack, these guys are still racing very aggressively. All the chips are still down, and we are still seeing some great racing here throughout this field as Justin Zidell now leads the way. We're side by side for second. Here comes the 55 of Kasumi Takashi. Here comes the 27 of Ryan Durrani, pushed by David Dixon. Duncan Ward also lined up there on the inside. Still some fantastic racing here in the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown. As this time by, we will be halfway home.
And it's been a very, we've talked about Max Davis, but this 51 car, Justin Zeidel, is very, very strong here tonight. He has been able to control.
Oh, there they go again!
Oh, there they go again!
There they go.
Brian Webb goes around off of turn 4. He gathers it up. We'll see if that ends up bringing a caution flag out. I don't know if it will. And it will not. However, that did hold up quite a couple people, as honestly, I was expecting that to be a bit bigger, and I think a lot of these guys were as well. So that's going to split the main pack up quite a bit. There's a 9 of Aaron Abel, looking to try and merge back onto the racetrack after getting service to that car, and I think we are in lap traffic as well. There's the 5 of Nathan Meyer getting put a lap down, and the 44 of Aaron Lukes, and this is, without a doubt, going to split the pack up quite a bit here as we head into the second half.
Not sure if the 43 got into the inside wall or not. The car looked pretty clean, so he might be all right. But you saw those lap cars, and you can see these guys scrambling to try and get around the 44 and the 5, who are a long, long way off the pace. And, really, I mean, the second pack that kind of got split up after the 43 spun around, if you're on that inside, you're able to actually close back in because of the 5 and the 44. So it actually didn't hurt too much what happened to the 43. But some of these guys back here, like the 12 of Brown and these guys, at the back, I think it was the 20 as well. Also, you've just caught up behind those lap cars, and that's really cost them. So disappointing for them. But now we've got a slightly smaller pack at the moment, so a fair bit smaller pack at the moment. So it's not as chaotic, but still, if you're close enough, you get a run on the cars in front. You see the 17 with a run to the inside, Duncan Ward, but doesn't have particularly much help, no help whatsoever at the moment. You've got Egan that's going to try and push the 55 in front and maybe get that outside to work.
There's definitely quite the couple laps there here from the Christmas Eve Showdown. Unfortunate break there for Brian Webb. I don't think he picked up any damage in the 43, so if he can catch a yellow, he can maybe get back into this fight. However, he is quite a ways back in that 43. He's right now the second to first in line to get put a lap down. There's a 38 of Trey Wright, who right now I believe is the last car on the lead lap, but all that is going to spread this pack out quite a bit. We'll have to see if these guys can kind of get bunched back together, which does look like they're already trying to do so, but we're still seeing some great racing up here towards the front. It's a little bit calmer now that the pack has been whittled down a little bit more, but these guys are absolutely still going at it as Duncan Ward in the 17 is going to go to the race lead. Here comes the 29, though, Bryce Egan with a push from the 7 of Max Davis. You got Marcus DeJesus up here. How about this 50 of Joey Hightower? Don't think we've talked about him much so far here today, but he's up here inside the top 10, looking to try and battle here for this race lead. You also got Igor Beretta on the 99 up here as well, along with the 51 of Zeidel. Still up here even after all that, and once again, we're going 4 wide here for the lead as Parton makes a huge move to the inside.
Tanner Parton, one of the last surviving HMS cars up here. Igor Barreto, a guy who knows how to whip it around this type of racetrack. And Tanner knows, late in the going of these races is the kind, you're now past halfway, and obviously there's still a long way to go on a 3-mile oval, but the pack is smaller now, and if you were to somehow slide to the back and lose the draft, you're not going to necessarily be granted the opportunity to stay in the fight here. As here comes the 27 of Ryan Durrani. His guy Matthew Hubert's going for a driver's championship tomorrow night and a constructor's championship. Boy, this would be a kickstart to his Christmas festivities if he could score a win here. Oh no.
Boy.
Oh no. Please
Look
don't.
out.
Please don't do it.
Oh, it's close.
Oh,
keep it together.
Oh, they just got away. That's the trouble spot, isn't it? Out of turn 4. That's where all the carnage has been in this race. There have been a few times where they've been very close. You see the 22 and the 34 were pretty close to each other, and they luckily were able to stay off of each other. No incident there, but that's the trouble spot in turn 4. It's something that we'll keep an eye on these last 20 laps. As you see now, the 27 hitting the front of the field there, Ryan Durrani taking the lead away from Part, but here comes Arnsdorf. doing a nice job once again, putting himself in position to try and go out and win this race for the second. Well, let's just say he won it last year for the second year in a row.
And Harnsdorf on the 36 looking to the inside, trying to take this race lead away, but here comes the 98 of Owen Miles, looking to try and take it in that 98 machine. De Jesus in the 30s lined up on the inside with Kasumi Takashi pushing him. And yeah, like we were talking about earlier, this is a very slippery racetrack, and the progressive banking going out of the corners can definitely be a bit rough at times, so that's usually where the trouble spots are, off of turn number 2 and off of turn number 4. 4 especially has seen quite a couple accidents here so far in this race, but they've held it together here for a couple laps and hoping to try and have a bit of a cleaner finish to this race, but still got quite a ways left to go, and we'll have to see how it does end up playing out. But out at the front of the field is number 30 of Marcus De Jesus leading the way, but here comes Zidell in the 51 to the inside, but they're catching the 38 of Trey Wright. Zidell going to try and get to the inside a bit close there with the 38, but he does end up moving up. And De Jesus is also going to get to the inside as Trey Wright puts it up on the outside against the wall in hopes that everybody can get by him there. But a couple cars might get held up a little bit, including Durrani, Hightower, and the 7 of Max Davis, but it looks like they'll be able to get to the inside here through turns 1 and 2. Dylan Matthews in the 16, back up here in a bit of an interesting situation. They were almost 5 wide there, but they managed to get out of it. But back up front, Zidell in the 51. He has had such a strong run here today, kind of reminiscent of his 2023 win here in this race, and looking to try and run it back once again, looking for his second win here in the Christmas Eve Showdown, but he's still got some competition. As here comes the 98 of Owen Miles, peeking to the inside, looking to take that race lead away.
Yeah, I mean, Zidell's got Owen Miles, Eric Monaco, David Dixon, a couple of guys with a ton of plate racing talent here. They're going to go 4 wide for the second position, as here comes the 19 of Skep Silver, one of our boys over in the truck series who's had a nice season. And boy, this would be fun for Skep to get his second career win here in quite a big stage that this Christmas Eve Showdown is fast becoming. It'll be late in the going. You're going to be getting 16 laps to go when we come back to the stripe. There's a lot of distance on the track, but there's not a lot of laps left. They're going to run over the 9 car here in a moment. And Skep's going to try and see if he can use this as a pick, but he's going to get picked.
He's going to get picked.
David Dixon and Monaco are going to go around the top side.
Dixon flies by on the outside, Abel scrambling to try and get out of the way. That's going to hold up the 36 and the 17. See if they can get by him here sooner than later, potentially heading here into turn number 1. Abel still in front of that 36 and 17. Looks like they're going to have a gap here to the inside. And it looks like they are both going to take it, so they should stay in the draft here of this lead pack. Have to see if they can catch back up. But now, that's actually kind of split these guys up a little bit. As the top 4 has kind of pulled away from the rest of the field, as Eric Monaco in the 1 leads the way. You got Owen Miles, David Dixon, and Bryce Egan up here inside the top 4. And Kasumi Takashi right now rounds out your top 5 and currently leads this bigger second pack, as I guess they're trying to reel back in this lead 4, as sure, this is probably helping them as Owen Miles tries to take a peek here to the inside of Monaco, trying to take that race lead back away once again.
And maybe go 3 wide for second. Dixon with a big run on the inside, of course, won that truck race at Daytona at the start of that season, so certainly knows how to get it done on these big tracks. But we spoke about reeling drivers in. Nathan Stapleton in the 42 has caught the back of the pack. There were a bunch of cars that were held up earlier on. He and I think maybe the 26, the 30, the 20, all these guys were dropped the pack earlier. They've now caught back up a little bit, but I think with the 17 and 36 losing some momentum, looks like Dylan Matthews losing some momentum as well. They've got to do a bit more hard work to really get back up into contention to win this race. We got less than 15 to go, and here we go again. We're about to catch the 5 of Meyer and the 44 of Aaron Lukes. And where do you go? Do you go outside? Do you go inside? The double file, that's not going to help these guys in any way, shape, or form. I think Dixon on the inside should get around. He's got a push there from Bryce Egan, and the 83 will hit the front.
And through goes the 83 of David Dixon, clears the lap traffic. Miles is kind of stuck in a bit of a predicament here, as they're double file both in front and alongside him. Lukes tries to move to the inside, makes a crazy block, on the one of Eric Monaco. He's probably not going to be the happiest camper about that. That's stacking the field up quite a bit behind him. Matt Black and Alexander Rowe almost made contact there off of turn number 4, and Monaco's moving around quite a bit. Probably getting a bit antsy there with the 44 Monaco. Luckily, does end up finding his way to the inside. And to get a couple more cars here in this mix. How about this 88 of San Video? Undoubtedly probably still struggling a little bit with the damage that he sustained in that earlier accident, but he's been able to quietly keep pace here with this lead pack, and now he might have a shot at potentially catching up fully to the lead pack if he can stay here in the draft. I have to see if he can pull that off, but that definitely split the field up quite a bit, as now Emily York Watson in the 52 leads the way. You got Tanner Parton in second. Zidell still up here along with the 34 Jack Cause. And, I mean, we're starting to get down to it here. This time by going to be coming to 12 laps, or 11 laps to go, I believe. Actually, no, 12 laps to go here this time by. So, you guys are going to have to start making some moves here because time's running out here from the M&M Superspeedway. And Zidell knows that as he makes a move to the inside of Emily York Watson.
Zidell's car just keeps getting better and better as the race goes on, and this is going to be the kind of chaotic part of this unrestricted racing here that we have around the M&M's Speedway. Is you are going to need to do some very, very aggressive maneuvering around. Oh my goodness,
that.
what a block from Zidell. Case in point, you need to be very aggressive. I was going to go in the direction of dodging these lap cars, but those are the kind of moves that Justin Zidell seems able to pull off easier than some other guys out here on the track tonight. So keep an eye on him late in the race if he is in the lead or going for the lead. He made a 4-wide overtake earlier in the race as the 49 gets out of the way, but it's crunch time here. It's 11 laps to go. It's 33 miles in the Christmas Eve Showdown, and it is still 15 to 20 cars game. Everything to play for here on Christmas Eve.
Absolutely, it can still be anybody's game, and this is definitely shaping up to be quite the interesting finish here to the third annual Christmas Eve Showdown. Coming at 10 laps to go this time by, so it is on here up at the front for this race lead. Tanner Parton takes the race lead away, but that's not going to last him for long as Egan takes a move down low, but Kasumi Takashi is also going to try to make a move there, trying to make it 3 wide up here for the race lead. Skip Silver is going to push the 29 there in the middle. BB Ruiz is going to push the 55 on the inside. They stay 3 wide here going into turn number 1. Have to see if Ruiz makes some moves. Takashi trying to stay on the inside but slides up, giving the 33 a lane there on the inside. But now here comes the 17 of Duncan Ward with a push from Hightower. And field is catching the 43 of Brian Webb. Next car in line to go a lap down, and I believe he is still up to pace, so we'll have to see how that does end up shaking out. Have to see if he can maybe catch the draft and maybe join in on this pack. We'll have to see, but it's time by. Coming to 9 laps to go here in this race. Kasumi Takashi leads the way. Ruiz side by side to the inside here for second. Here comes York Watson. Here comes Durrani. And here comes Jack Hawes in the 34, looking to run it back in a little less controversial fashion this time.
Still so much that can happen. Still anybody really in this pack, and there's a little bit of a few cars behind that, you know, still really have a shot. They're still within the draft and still within a real shot. You see the 43 going to the outside. He's going to let these guys go, Brian Webb. What happened with someone like a Crampton before when he got lapped and what Brian Webb's doing now? You know, they're staying well out of the way. So the 44 and the 5 before definitely did not. So it's good to see, you know, Brian Webb. I know he's, you know, got still up to speed, it seems like, but getting out of the way and letting these guys race. I tell you what, York Watson in the 52 is a really good chance of winning this race, I reckon. She's had a very, very fast race car. Has been up here for so much of the race, where, you know, even if she hasn't led laps, always led laps, she's always been around top 5, top 10. So someone to watch, but can't count out Alexander Rowe, who's in that 22 on the inside. You've got Stapleton up here. You've got Parton on that inside. You know, still a lot to play out. Arnsdorf wants the victory. They're catching Aaron Abel again. Abel was one of those guys that was hard to get around last time, so let's see if he goes to the inside. Let's see if he stays outside. Oh, he's going to block yours. Make contact. That was proper contact.
Oh my goodness. Almost shades of Jeffrey Finguy. Oh, that's going to cause 5 wide here. But there they go!
Oh, no.
Duncan Ward sideways. Arnsdorf is around. And into the pit wall goes Max Davis. pauses around, up, almost over goes the 6. Bernardo de Oliveira, and we have the big one on the front stretch. Here with just a couple laps to go.
Oh, man. What a shame.
Oh,
What a shame. That is a terrible shame for all those guys involved. That was, yeah, everyone got really checked up behind the 9, and look at the damage. You saw the 26, you saw the 7 hit the attenuator. Plenty of cars involved, and that's a real shame. The 6 as well of De Oliveira, Davis. What a shame.
Quite a couple cars going to be taken out in this one, and like we mentioned, really late in the race too. A really tough break for all these guys involved, especially considering they could have had a shot to potentially win it all. But as the race does go on, especially here in these last 10 laps, the anticipation rises, the patience runs thin, and kind of like we saw in the early stages of the race, sometimes it just boils over, and unfortunately, going to have a big accident here down the front straight, which is probably going to take multiple cars out of contention for this race win. So a really tough break there for everybody involved, but that's going to set us up a late race restart here from the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown. It's the 42, the big staple. Nathan Stapleton going to lead the field back to the caution flag. Let's take a quick look at what brought out our third caution of the day, and we'll get you all back to your restart and even potentially the finish to the third annual Christmas Eve Showdown. Well, we were talking about earlier on in the race where 5 wide could definitely lead to a bit of trouble, and it's going to come to fruition here in the big one in the late stages of this race as Bucky Campbell, all these guys getting backed up by the 9 of Aaron Abel. Campbell slides up into the 17 of Duncan Ward, and they all just kind of squeeze each other here off of turn number 4, and it's just calamity from there as a chain reaction occurs. Campbell gets the 50, who slides down to the 36. The 17 of Duncan Ward slides up the racetrack into the path of the 33 of BB Ruiz, among others. There goes the 7 of Max Davis, who takes a shot to the pit wall, similar to Chase McClure earlier on in the race. There's a 99 of Igor Barreto going around. Jack Hawes in the 34 going around as Isaac Nichols tries to slip by, just gets hit by the 88 of San Mateo as they squeeze each other, and 26 gets some heavy damage in this one as he also gets hit by the 6 of Bernardo de Oliveira. But everybody just trying to make evasive maneuvers at the same time causes quite the big chain reaction, and just quite the gigantuous accident here in the late stages of the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown. So definitely a really tough break for all these guys involved, especially considering that it's so late in the race and all these guys could have had a shot at the race victory. That's just the way things go sometimes, especially here at these Superspeedway races. But we'll get you one more replay here at full speed, and then we'll get you all back to the racing action here from the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown.
and here comes Bucky Campbell, and here comes the yellow because bang! Huge accident there. I mean, Bucky Campbell's just sliding, and Max Davis's nose is stuck in the tire barrier. I mean, unbelievable chaos late in the going here. So many heavy hitters taken out of this race, and you know, we're not gonna quite get a green-white checkered, but we're gonna get a 3-lap to go shootout, and oh boy, this changes everything here.
Absolutely gonna set us up here for a 3-lap dash to decide the winner of the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown. Definitely gonna shake quite a few things up, and it'll definitely be interesting to see who does end up getting this race victory after all of this calamity has ensued. But we'll just have to wait and see how it does all end up playing out. But leading us back to the caution flag was the 42. The big staple led the field back. Have to see if he can hang on here on the restart here from the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown. But I think we got quite the interesting finish here in store. And we're back once again here for the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown, wrapping up our third caution of the race for the big one here in the late stages of this event down the front straightaway, taking out a couple of cars, including the 88 of San Mateo, Bernardo de Oliveira, Max Davis taken out on that. And such a fast car all day. That's a really tough break there for him. Isaac Nichols in the 26 also taken out in that accident, and many more with damage after that one, but still got plenty of cars here in contention as we're going to get this thing back going here with 3 laps to go, And it's the big staple out in the race lead, followed by Tanner Parton in second, Skip Silver third, Owen Miles is fourth. Alexander Rowe could still get that elusive victory. He's sitting in the fifth position. Got Eric Monaco in sixth, Emily York Watson seventh, David Dixon in eighth, Ryan Ronnie ninth, and Bryce Egan rounds out your top 10. This restart is probably going to be for all the marbles here. We'll have to see who does end up getting their first Christmas present early. Here we go. Nathan Stapleton leading the field down the front straightaway, back to the green flag. Who's going to win the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown? We'll just have to wait and see how these final couple laps play out. We're back green flag racing once again here from the M&M Superspeedway. And Tanner Parton in the 24 is wasting absolutely no time. He ducks to the inside of the number 42 of Nathan Stapleton. Owen Miles also gets to the inside of the 19 of Skip Silver, who elects to stay up on the outside and try to help that 42. Miles now with a peak down low down the backstretch as Parton blocks high, blocking the 42 of Nathan Stapleton, but here comes the 22. Alexander Rowe peeking to the inside, but here comes Eric Monaco, being pushed by the 52 of Emily York Watson. They're 4 wide behind the 24 of Tanner Parton. Watson trying to take a peek to the inside here as we head through turns 3 and 4. Brian Webb in the 43 is still a lap down, so have to see how he factors into all this. But Tanner Parton with the lead as we come to 2 laps to go here in this race. Here comes the 51 of Zeitel with a big move to the inside, looking to try and get his second win here in this event. Parton in the race lead, though, trying to block for all his life, but here comes the one of Monaco into the inside off of turn number 2.
And if these two leave the door open, I mean, Stuart Justin Zeidel's there. The chance to go for 2 and 3 years is all on the cards for him as Monaco holds the lead down the backstretch.
Here comes the 52 of Emily York Watson, though.
Oh, it's close. Got to keep an eye on the 43 as well. He's a lap down, but can certainly have an impact. And here comes the 51.
Justin!
Here comes Justin.
Here comes Justin.
1 to go.
Zeitel to the inside as we come to take the white flag. 1 lap to go here in the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown. He doesn't quite have the push. Tucks back in behind the 43. Here comes the 40 of Matt Black, looking to try and make something happen. Brian Webb back down to the inside of Emily York Watson. Here comes the 40 of Matt Black to the inside as we head down the back straightaway for the final time. Webb gonna peek the nose out front. Here comes Marcus DeJesus in the 30. Here comes Stapleton in the 42. Coming through turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Webb still to the inside. Here comes the 30 of Marcus DeJesus to the inside here as we head through turns 3 and 4. Can Emily York Watson get the push on the outside? They're going to be side by side to the line. York Watson and DeJesus. It's going to be Emily York Watson, your 2025 Lenovo Pro Series champion, is your winner of the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown.
I told you she could win this race. I said it. She was up there all day. Top 5, top 10 all day. Had a very fast race car. It gets the run on the outside, holds off Marcus DeJesus, who had a magnificent run there at the end, but the 52, the winner. Great finish to this race, and luckily no controversy this time around.
I think we can pretty safely say no controversy, at least to the level of last year this time around, as Emily York Watson was a couple hundredths of a second clear there of the 30 of Marcus DeJesus coming to the checkered flag. How about that for your 2025 Lenovo Pro Series champion, Emily York Watson is your 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown champion. Like you were saying, Stuart, we saw that 52 car up towards the front quite a bit so far here in this race, and that's a car that's going to end up going to victory lane. Man, what a race here from the M&M Superspeedway. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's... yeah, as I said, I mean, it was a great finish. Great that we got a green flag finish this year, and, the 43 did get in their way. Brian Webb lap down, did have a little bit of an impact, but didn't rob the 52 of the win. It was a great finish there. Marcus De Jesus, he was caught behind the lap cars. That caution saved him, and he had a great run there at the end to almost take that one away. There was a great drive. Zidell was super quick all day as well. He ended up third. Stapleton, Parton just probably was just a little too early. Made the move a little too early. It was a bit of a sitting duck there at the end. But yeah, quite an interesting race, quite an entertaining race here at the M&M Superspeedway.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolute chaos start to finish. York Watson clutching up there with biggest win of her career on the channel so far. I mean, gotta give credit to Justin Zidell. I mean, he drove the absolute wheels off that thing all race long. If the 43 of Brian Webb wasn't up there kind of giving a tow as a lap car, I mean, maybe he could have gotten the overtake done, but yeah, definitely a race that did not disappoint there. An absolute heavy hitter slugfest start to finish here, the Christmas Eve Showdown.
Absolutely. What a wild race that was here from the M&M Superspeedway. And what a win there for Emily York Watson. Hats off there to that 52 car. Like I said, was quick pretty much about all race long, and herself in a great position there towards the end of the race. Even with the 43 of Brian Webb, managed to use that 43 as a pick to perfection and held off the 30 of Marcus De Jesus. Still got to give De Jesus a big shout out as well. He was really strong in this race as well, so some fantastic rookie showings here in the 2025 rendition of the Christmas Eve Showdown. Justin Zidell in the 51, also with a fantastic run, coming home in the third position. And looking further down your official results, you got Nathan Stapleton bringing it home fourth, Tanner Parton in fifth. Like I said, might have just made his move there a little bit too early, but still, can't go wrong there with a top 5 finish. Skep Silver brings it home in 6th, Matt Black in 7th, Owen Miles brings it home in 8th, Ryan Durrani 9th, and how about Dylan Matthews bring home a top 10 there for that 60 machine. Great stuff there for her. But, oh goodness, what a race this was here in the 3rd annual Christmas Eve Showdown. Bit less controversy than last time, but still, quite the race we had. Really fun racing pretty much all throughout, and still had quite a bit of chaos there throughout this race, but still ended up with a spectacular finish. And Emily York Watson gets the win after everything is said and done. But what a showing here from the Christmas Eve Showdown here from the M&M Superspeedway. And Matt and Stewart, I definitely got to ask y'all for your final thoughts. What do you think about this 3rd annual running of the Christmas Eve Showdown? And hey, what are you looking at for potentially as we head into next year's running of this event? Never too early to start planning, I guess.
Yeah, never too early. I mean, it'll be the same kind of thing that we've seen. We saw this today, and what we've seen last year and the year before. A lot of chaotic racing, and yeah, again, you can win from anywhere. And you just got to time it right. You know, got to get a bit lucky with avoiding some of the yellow, some of the lap cars that inevitably will come up, and. But certainly what York Watson did today, and all the guys up at the front were able to do. Yeah, I mean, look, it'll be very interesting to see because we'll definitely get new drivers in as well. So I swear the first year guys that are always in these events, first time in these events, they always seem to do quite well. So who knows? There's a lot that will happen next year, but it's hard to predict because it's still 12 months away.
Yeah, I mean, this is, in theory, a race that's quite similar, very similar in concepts to the Thanksgiving 500. I guess the only thing so far that's kind of differentiated it is we've seen quite a few first wins on the channel in the Thanksgiving 500. Unbelievable, fantastic stuff to see every time, This race so far has panned out a little differently. I mean, we've seen some new faces came to play, but you guys can look down through that top 10. There's some heavy hitters. There were some heavy hitters who got taken out, and Emily York Watson, the LPS champion. So definitely is rapidly showing here in her first season that she's coming to play here on the channel. And But yeah, I mean, very exciting race here. And, I think next year somebody's got to open this track file up and put this thing under the lights. And I think that would be... Put it under the lights, and maybe next year, could we get some snow on the track, maybe? Racing in the snow, I think, would be... I think that would be cinema.
That would definitely be quite the interesting race. Have to see if that does end up coming to fruition. That would definitely be a lot of fun, but hey, we'll have to wait and see how it all ends up shaking out. But what a race overall here in the 2025 Christmas Eve Showdown. And once again, definitely just have to give hats off to Emily York Watson, your 2025 LPS champion, coming in clutch here at the high banks of the M&M Superspeedway here in Boston, Massachusetts. But that will do it here for the 3rd annual Christmas Eve Showdown. Of course, thank you all so much for tuning in, of course, supporting this race and the channel as a whole. Just absolutely means so much to me, and definitely have to give a huge thanks to all of you for making this community and this event what it is. It's been 3 great years of this event, and cannot wait to see what the future has in store as well. But again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Of course, we got the Turkey Hill Truck Series Championship coming up tomorrow for the final televised race on the channel of the year. Be exciting to see how that ends up shaking out. Definitely got a very fun one in store from the Homestead Miami Speedway in Homestead, Florida. But that'll be going up tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Definitely hope to see you all there to crown a champion for the 2025 Turkey Hill Truck Series season. Will it be Matthew Hubert? Will it be Andrew Williams? Or can Aaron Abel come in at the last second and steal the show? Have to see how it all ends up shaking out. But yeah, once again, thank you all so much for tuning in. A huge thank you to Matt Tuck and Stuart Grattan for joining me alongside up here in the booth. And I will see you all come Homestead. But until then, you all have a very Merry Christmas. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And I will see you all next time. But until then, you all take care and have yourselves a good one.